nothing happened at all. My hand seemed to go through his head ring and the skull beneath, and to shut upon itself while he went on talking to someone else, a captain whom I recognized. Yes, one Faku, whom in the days of Dingaan the Black One's brother, I myself slew upon the Ghost Mountain. Yes, Macumazahn, and Faku was telling him the tale of how I killed him and of the fight that I and my blood brother and the wolves made, there on the knees of the old witch who sits aloft on the Ghost Mountain, waiting for the world to die. For I could understand their talk, though mine went by them like the wind. Macumazahn, they passed away and there came others. Dingaan among them, aye, Dingaan who also knows something of the Witch Mountain, seeing that there Mopo and I hurled him to his death. With him also I would have had words, but it was the same story. Only presently he caught sight of the Black One, yes, of Chaka whom he slew, stabbing him with the little red assegai, and turned and fled, because in that land I think he still fears Chaka, Macumazahn, or so the dream told. I went on and met others, men I had fought in my day, most of them. Among them was Yikisa, he who ruled the people of the Axe before me, whom I slew with his own axe. I lifted the axe and made me ready to fight again, but not one of them took any note of me. There they walked about, or sat drinking beer or taking snuff, but never a sup of the beer or a pinch of the snuff did they offer me. No, not even those among them whom I chanced to have killed. So I left them and walked on, seeking for Mopo, my foster father, and a certain man, my blood brother, by whose side I hunted with the wolves, yes, for them and for another. Well, and did you find them? I asked. Mopo I found not, which makes me think, Macumazahn, that as once you hinted to me, he whom I thought long dead, perchance still lingers on the earth. But the others I did find," and he ceased, brooding. Now I knew enough of Umslopogaas' history to be aware that he had loved this man and woman of whom he spoke more than any others on the earth. The blood brother, whose name he would not utter, by which he did not mean that he was his brother in blood, but one with whom he had made a pact of eternal friendship by the interchange of blood or some such ceremony, according to report, had dwelt with him on the Witch Mountain, where legend told, though this I could scarcely believe, that they had hunted with a pack of hyenas. There, it said also, they fought a great fight with a band sent out by Dingaan the king, under the command of that Faku whom Umslopogaas had mentioned, in which fight the blood brother, wielder of the famous club known as the Watcher of the Fords, got his death after doing mighty deeds. There also, as I had heard, Nada the Lily, whose beauty was still famous in the land, died under circumstances strange as they were sad. Naturally, remembering my own experiences, or rather what seemed to be my experiences, for already I had made up my mind that they were but a dream, I was most anxious to learn whether these two, who had been so dear to this fierce Zulu, had recognized him. "Well, and what did they say to you, Umslopogaas?" I asked. "Macumazahn, they said nothing at all. Hearken, there stood this pair, or sometimes they moved to and fro, my brother, an even greater man than he used to be, with a wolfskin girt about him and the club, Watcher of the Fords, which he alone could wield, upon his shoulder, and Nada, grown lovelier even than she was of old, so lovely, Macumazahn, that my heart rose into my throat when I saw her and stopped my breath. Yes, Macumazahn, there they stood, or walked about arm in arm as lovers might, and looked into each other's eyes and talked of how they had known each other on the earth, for I could understand their words or thoughts, and how it was good to be at rest together where they were. "You see, they were old friends, Umslopogaas," I said. "Yes, Macumazahn, very old friends as I thought, so much so that they had never had a word to say of me, who also was the old friend of both of them. I, my brother, whose name I am sworn not to speak, the woman hater who vowed he loved nothing save me and the wolves, could smile into the face of Nada the Lily. Nada, the bride of my youth, yet never a word of me, while she could smile back and tell him how great a warrior he had been, and never a word of me, whose deeds she was wont to praise, who saved her in the Halakasir caves and from Dingaan. No, never a word of me, although I stood there staring at them." "I suppose they did not see you, Umslopogaas." "That is so, Macumazahn. I am sure that they did not see me, for if they had, they would not have been so much at ease. But I saw them, and as they would not take heed when I shouted, I ran up calling to my brother to defend himself with his club. Then, as he still took no note, I lifted the axe, Inkosikaas, making it circle in the light, and smote with all my strength." "And what happened, Umslopogaas?" "Only this, Macumazahn, that the axe went straight through my brother from the crown of his head to the groin, cutting him in two, and he just went on talking. Indeed he did more, for stooping down he gathered a white lily bloom which grew there and gave it to Nada, who smelt at it, smiled and thanked him, and then thrust it into her girdle, still thanking him all the while. Yes, she did this, for I saw it with my eyes, Macumazahn." Here the Zulu's voice broke, and I think that he wept, for in the faint light I saw him draw his long hand across his eyes, whereon I took the opportunity to turn my back and light a pipe. "Macumazahn," he went on presently, "it seems that madness took hold of me for a long while, for I shouted and raved at them, thinking that words and rage might hurt where good steel could not, and as I did so they faded away and disappeared, still smiling and talking. Nada, smelling at the